exciting weekend. It's another time for the biggest conversation, the show which we look at things which have happened in the week, the events of the week, and what you've heard your politicians, the government, and the other people saying, which needs to be addressed and be distilled to you. And of course, in this set, I'm with the ever lovely and ever beautiful ladies and a political analyst. He's a social analyst.
I can't be handsome.
I'm your CEO, Charles Otieno, alongside the beautiful
Dr. C, the winemaker, and I hope the year is coming to an end. So I hope, I'm sure we are all celebrating hard work, dedication, friendship, everything, results, and everything in between. Just make sure you get yourself a bottle of Samantha wines. The red, the rosé, or the white.
And the champagne?
And even the champagne coming soon.
The champagne.
The champagne, yeah. I'm celebrating 27 years with my husband.
Yes.
And therefore, to mark that, I'm launching a champagne.
So marriage works.
Marriage
It
works.
works.
It works.
It seems.
Look at me.
Ask Maria here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope in 27 years I'll be launching my own production house. Wow. So you say amen.
Amen.
I am Maria, an author of 2 books, Marriage is a Scam and Love, the Original You. And also this December, I am launching a book, still on the holds. Also, I'm a fitness person. I play so many roles, but all in all, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be with this wonderful team.
Benji, take it up.
Good evening, viewers. Benji Ndolo. Gender balance, gender fairness is important. So if they're a beautiful panel, then I must be a handsome participant. CEO.
No. You are just a social analyst, political analyst.
I think it's only fair that if they're beautiful, I'm handsome.
No.
Happy to be here. We'll talk about heavy stuff in a light way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's dig into the conversation of today. The first thing, this week, the court had an unprecedented judgment. Unprecedented, but somehow precedented still, because is he a doctor? Majanja actually said that the housing levy is unconstitutional, which we knew is unconstitutional. But he allowed the government to continue collecting after January. Then many people were very happy in the street, not knowing that the tax is not fully suspended. Benji, what do you think?
Just before we came on air, Dr. C and I, who've just met, were talking about a common friend. The lawyer, Kathy Kilonzo.
Yes.
Who's a very litigious lawyer. And I remember in my civil society days, one of the drawbacks we were anticipating with the 2010 Constitution is that, you know, if you actually read the Constitution, it has so many principles, ideals, constitutional ideals, you know, standards and guidelines. So we're saying that if we're not careful, we could end up becoming a very litigious society.
Yes.
And that's what has happened. But again, the blame is not so much on those litigating and those who are good, like our friend Kathy. The problem, CEO, is actually on the reluctant ruling elite. I say reluctant because they didn't really want this constitution. Ironically, and as a matter of fact, His Excellency the President,
They opposed it.
is on record opposing this constitution.
They opposed it, actually.
He's been the biggest beneficiary. Deputy President for 10 years, now President.
Yeah.
And so when you have a society like that where the culture is one of a lot of impunity and corruption and whatnot, it just took for really good presidential advisors, legal advisors, policy advisors, communications advisors, even laymen, not necessarily lawyers, to guide the president along and ensure that you're not launching things that run contrary to the Constitution. It was not a surprise. I mean, if you look at how the design of this tax is, the timing of it, the aggression with it just pushed, the inability of P.S. Hinga to explain anything really, it was pretty obvious, as you said, that it's unconstitutional. And so it's unfortunate that we go back, in a sense, to the Uhuru era. President Uhuru would just create positions and do things that are obviously unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And so ours here on Let's Be Real, on this KTN platform, is to commend the court. We're not really on any side of the divide. You know, it's not like in politics where two sides now go to court. Then if you're in Azimio and you don't commend, then they say it's because it didn't go your way. For us, we are very neutral and objective arbiters. And it's to insist on a culture of constitutionalism, on enhancement of a culture of rule of law, on independence of institutions. These are some of my pet subjects, that the judiciary be seen as a respectable, upstanding, upright organ that you can run to. Dr. C and I were just talking about a dispute she had, and you really want to go and feel that you can get fairness, that the adversary, who is sometimes a big bank, you know, that you've mortgaged your home or whatever, cannot just bribe a judge and then, because there's a lot of these allegations of what Uhuru called Wakora judges, of bribery in the judiciary. These are some of the realities. You hear Ahmed Nasir, senior lawyer, talking about that all the time. And so the win for this is that a judiciary should be strong enough to rule against a president, to correct a president where he has gone wrong. I believe all of us on this panel indeed are interested in a modern Kenya. You know, a Kenya that is actually growing and thriving democratically, that has democratic space to critique where things go wrong. And so that is the win that comes from this Majanja panel ruling, and that the government must quickly, with its lawyers, Kipchumba and all these other guys, quickly come in and straighten what has gone wrong and harmonize. But also, and I've asked the president this on different platforms, many a time, don't be a leader to force down the throat. You know, there was an attempt to force down BBI, etc. Take a step back. If there's a problem, pull the housing levy. Yeah, reflect, absolutely.
You see,
I know there are fiscal pressures, but it's not that you have to get money by all means.
It
By
is
force
an
even,
end.
by force even.
Condition.
That it's an end in itself. No, take a step back and then harmonize and do it properly. And also listen to the voice of Kenyans. Leave alone the court, Dr. C. If Kenyans don't want something, take a step back.
You see, what
They
you're
say
saying,
they don't want it. Hawataki?
But why can't he just tell us, like, exactly, like, number one, we talked about the debt register, okay? So we are busy repaying these loans. Can we just, as Kenyans, start from a place of honesty? Okay, this is what it is. This is where we are. And if we don't do this, this is what will happen.
Yeah, we don't have that. She's right. Omtata has, and many other activists that we've worked with, have actually raised concern about the true position of our national debt. Nobody really seems to know. I hear there is kind of no debt.
Huh?
We've been
No
paying.
debt from.
There is no debt. We don't owe anything.
We've
no,
not
we
been
owe people,
paying,
but
or we don't owe.
The books are, I was watching something which I'll send you on Imperial Bank.
yeah.
Before it went down, Imperial Bank for 15 years kept 3 sets of books. You know, you talk about dishonesty in culture. It kept books that it submitted to Central Bank. It kept books that it submitted to the
customers.
board. And it kept the real book that it knew with the CEO. And he knew this is the whole that we have. And so I have heard a lot of discussions from Omtata and other financial analysts that have said, we've been paying debt. And there's a lot of subtractions from public coffers, but it's not very clear where those go, because it can also go to proxies. I've heard many things. Kenya Airways, we only own 3 planes
Yes.
out of the big fleet. You see, this, it comes as a shock. Like, out of, we don't even own these planes. Apparently,
are
Kenya
leased.
Airways owns
Those ones,
3
Benji,
Those
out
are
of
leased.
all the many.
No, they're leased. Most of our planes are leased.
Yeah, but also,
this
I don't want to go too deep, but list from who? I can't even say the
yes,
name.
don't
And,
say
and
it.
Boeing.
I know the name.
we know
Exactly.
No, we know who is leased from.
Exactly.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
not going.
No.
Oh, gosh.
It's leased
Okay.
from someone. But Benji, there's something you touched on.
A lady from Central.
Yeah, it's leased from here. There's something you said about listening to the people, and Dr. C is talking about honesty.
Yes.
And this is what President Moi used to have.
Yeah.
President Moi was the only person who would walk into a political rally, and even disown his ministers when he realizes that the public are against something.
Yeah.
And he says, hiyo ni yao,
Yeah.
wananchi wamesema.
Yes.
Is it possible that in this whole Maria, would we get a president who would be like Moi, who says, hiyo ilikuwa ni ya wale,
But I feel like they are doing it, though not so directly. As you've seen, they're always introducing something. When the public goes wild, they act like we are pulling it, but not necessarily pulling it out. Because even the ID fiasco was, they introduced, then they say, oh, it's not like that. It was just a test run. Then we'll introduce it in January. So if they introduce it in January fully, then we'll say they don't listen to us. But if they don't introduce that, then we'll say, then if we speak loud enough, maybe they can hear us. But the truth of the matter is, I feel like the government is finding ways to introduce things slowly. I know the judge is also paying the housing levy, and it's affecting him at some point. But now they're like, let's just see how they will react, then we'll bring it back, but with a cheaper price. We'll just take the fee a little lower, or in January we introduce it to go with it. Because I don't think the government we have right now will listen like wananchi wamesema. We've been talking every week. Every week we've been saying the taxes are high. Every day people are complaining. But this one will never listen.
But you know what will make them actually listen? Because they are collecting less and less and less, because
We talked about that.
businesses are just closing.
They are
Totally.
closing every day.
They're fleeing to
This
Tanzania.
week,
And
this week
people are
alone-
running away from taxes too.
This week alone, there are around 7 companies which issued profit warnings.
I saw that.
This week alone.
Yeah,
I
and
saw
the
that.
NSC now has been put in one of those like corners where be careful, don't invest at a global level.
And did you know that the NSC is the worst performer in the world?
Yes.
In the
oh my
world.
God, in the world.
In the world.
Thank God I pulled out my money. No, I put a lot of money in there. I pulled out,
Yes.
but just in time. Just in time. Yeah.
I mean,
otherwise I would.
And I try to be really careful because I don't want to sound vindictive or angry. Kenya Power stock, I think, is at 1 shilling 60.
Yes,
Something like that.
it is one-
It used to be 17 shillings.
Yeah.
It's gone down 17 times. Am I wrong for saying that? It's such a shame. A monopoly that has no competition.
Where are we headed
Do
to?
you think
What
it's
is
being
that?
run down to be sold? I was actually shocked that it was not in the list of the companies to be sold. But anyway, the unconstitutionalism of
Yes.
these
Even
housing
the ones being
levy.
sold. We're coming to discuss those.
Yes.
But also a red flag that tells you there's a problem with these is, so I noticed also Kenya Airways is not on the list of those to be sold. So CEO, what's the criteria?
So is it already sold, or it's just being left for the government?
But now going back to the housing levy.
Yes.
One of the things, reading the ruling, one of the things the judge said was the fact that if you're going to tax people, everybody must be taxed. Everybody, whether you work, you don't work, everybody must
It shouldn't
pay.
be discriminatory.
Yeah,
That's the
because
law.
he used the word, it is discriminatory
Yeah.
Yes.
to
To target.
to people who are actually employed.
Yeah. It's true. So legally, yeah. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I do a lot of public interest litigation. And this constitution allows you to do that. Because in this constitution, you might know that you don't need locus standi, so to speak, like the old constitution. You can actually go and represent yourself. Umtata does that.
All the time.
Is a good example. I do some of that as well. And it's just, some things are very glaring. So if you look at, for instance, what you call ECOSOC, economic and social rights, social economic rights, right to food, right to housing. I mean, in a decent society. You know, that's actually not a suggestion. It's actually in the Constitution. If you look at Article 10, which we talked about that here the other day, if you're a public officer, for instance, this is a good example. So if I'm doing some work with Dr. C, I don't need to know which tribe she is. You understand? I don't need to know. I don't need to refuse to employ her because she's a woman. I mean, these are constitutional principles and tenets. Inclusivity, integrity. I don't need to refuse to pay her because I'm physically stronger than her. So we moved away from that, you know, Stone Age kind of thing. And that's what we're explaining to Kina Gachagua here, that, you know, a CS should not be standing in public telling people, enda chimba mafuta yako. You know, that kind of thing. And so from that basic premise, you can obviously see that if you pass anything that says, let me target the middle class, let me target salaried folks.
Let me target people who are
Some
in
of
this
who
area.
are already paying house mortgage. Then prima facie, on the face of it, that has to be discriminatory. And that's just one of the problems. There are other problems, such as accountability. Where's the money going? Exactly.
By the way, where is this money?
Exactly.
18 billion
One
has
second.
been deducted.
One second.
from
So the money
workers.
goes somewhere. If you don't get the product, do you reimburse the money? What's the money worth in 7 years? If it's reimbursed, what's the interest rate? Is the interest rate competitive in the market? Is it an illegal interest rate? Is it compliant to the finance and lending institutions? Does it conform to the
Guidelines.
Finance Act? Does it, you know, you could run even a program like this that eventually could end up being a huge money laundering scheme. You know, so there are many legal, considerations to be made and approvals by a proper and upstanding Attorney General. And again, I know a lot of Kenyans despair. They just feel like, do we even have a parliament anymore? Finance Act, I just thought the way they were pushing it so hard, they should have taken a step back and not, even the church came out. In fact, I remember the church's voice, CEO was very strong.
Yes,
During the debate on Finance Act. And they said, surely, Kenyans are against this. Why just force it by force? And it's so clear. Why just, you don't want it, but why?
But we're already forced into things
Why?
that we
But
don't
the
want
question I
or
have
we
to
don't
ask
know.
That's not how to govern. Let this point be clear. That's not how to govern. That's I'm telling even myself.
Yes.
Even you can't just by force. Why?
But the question I want to ask you guys, is our president a captive of the World Bank and IMF then?
So I've been asked this question
yesterday-
many times, and I'm going to give her a chance, but we don't vote for IMF.
But it
We,
seems that the
we
president,
don't vote for the World Bank.
But it's him. Why should all of us go through it?
So this is the conspiracy theory that
I know.
that I have. It's a conspiracy theory, but last night I was checking on X, the Twitter, and somebody had put the former president on the New Yorker and how he's being investigated for the
Eurobond.
The Eurobond.
Yeah.
And I almost believed, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, people actually believe these things until I looked at the comments and it wasn't true. But, even these conspiracy theories are there. For me, like, I'm developing my own. So I'm beginning to think, is it even IMF or the World Bank, or are people preparing money to buy these public institutions?
Yeah.
So you've moved to the second.
So have they actually bought, like, this
Pre-bought.
money?
Yeah, they're
Pre-bought.
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 I
Have
wish
they
I had money to
already
try and
pre-bought? And is it possible that the courts are being used to say now, the way you can't stop the housing levy, but so the court is being used to, like, as a way out of this thing, but there's enough money anyway to buy the public institutions.
So
Is it
she
possible?
has just kind of segued into my
the second,
next.
yes.
Oh, are we already in the next?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. It's called in TV parlance, it's called segue into the next segment,
Yes.
Okay.
which is
Okay.
privatization. So this privatization is now encompassing KICC,
Yes.
which is a very unique design done by
A landmark.
a
actually.
Kamba. Yeah, it's a landmark done in the
On our money.
1960s
Yeah.
by a guy called Mutiso,
Yeah, it's
which he said it mimicked the
I don't know.
organ
how to say it.
of an elephant.
A
So it's a
donkey.
bit I think it was an elephant. Or the
Is
trunk
it
of an elephant.
Mutiso?
Yeah,
Ngodo?
Menezes International.
Mutiso, yes.
Yes.
Ngodo.
No, Mutiso. I think maybe that's his
Ngodo,
name. Yeah,
yes.
Urian Mutiso, Menezes International. Kenya Pipeline, which has been in the news for all manner of issues. National Oil, which should be one of the ones in G2G, and it's not there. There's a National Oil on Outer Ring Road. Huge, expansive space, nothing going on. New KCC, among others, as per the Privatization Act. So the aim is for the government to generate more revenue from these sales. Now, I just explained that it's curious that Kenya Airways is not there. There's also a suspicion that these things are being pre-bought by specific individuals, and that specifically a lot of this agenda also did begin during the Moi regime. Now, gosh, there's so much to say on this. First of all, it's so sad.
It's very sad.
It's very sad, in the
Sad.
sense that I found myself thinking about this yesterday, even before I knew we'd do this show.
Yes.
It's very sad, CEO, in the sense that Kenyans have a proclivity to steal. I don't think it's because Kenyans are thieves per se. I have a philosophical rationale behind it. Democracy or politics are very expensive. And there's, not to justify it, but how there's just such a thirst for money. And how would you just make money to do siasa if you are not corrupt? So I think this thing deserves a white paper, even a Harvard review, because there are no jobs in this country. This country is a country of who and who knows who and whatnot. Every big money, 90% is in. Every big family in this country that has a lot of money, if you track and do the audit, at some point they were in government. They were not in big business. 90%. They were in government. I don't want to name names. And so it's like every opportunity to get elected or to be in government is not an opportunity to govern.
It is to steal.
It's an opportunity to loot.
To loot
And in the
steal
society,
and
if you don't loot, people also think you are silly
And stupid.
and that's stupid, and you will regret.
Yeah.
So, where are we, Maria?
But don't you think when you say that is stealing, so the next government that will come, maybe they were in their mind trying to be good, they will think that that is the norm. Like, it's the norm, we just
I
have
think
to
this
steal.
government is even looking and saying, I mean, everybody knows what Kina Uhuru did. So this is just... we are hearing so
That's
many things, by the way.
But
CSs are buying malls, by the way,
I
for
wouldn't,
your information.
I wouldn't
They're
be...
buying
They're buying malls.
I heard of the one in Kitengela.
Exactly. Everybody heard about that one.
But now we are suffering. People don't have food, people are buying
Exactly.
malls. And
So-
even
and that's-
buying
And that's how
landmark
you know failed
buildings.
states. One person is buying a mall, the other person does not have bus fare, and they're breathing the same air. They could be right
And
here.
their houses are being demolished.
And the houses are being demolished.
In Kakamega,
And to
in
make...
Nairobi, in Portland, in Machakos, in
So
everywhere.
let's listen, Dr. C, let's hear your conspiracy theory. You were talking about this conspiracy. Benji has broken it down very well.
Always.
About,
So the first time when I saw this thing on New Yorker with the former president, that he's being investigated for the Eurobonds, I almost believed. Like I said, I almost believed. And then I saw the comments, and then I realized it's just a fake, it's a fake story. But then I was thinking, suppose it is true. Just really suppose it's true. Where did the Eurobond go to? Where did the money from the Eurobond go to? And then I'm also thinking, so all these things that are almost like, you know, these are second-term things that presidents do. All the things that are being introduced. So there are two things. Either in 3 years, we are really going to enjoy and we're going to see the results.
Which
And
is a no.
or if not, I was thinking, is it possible, like people just want to buy these things? And the other thing that is actually coming, is this how failed states begin? And then people just get to the streets? Because they, like, where do we go to? You're on the wall. You're like, your back is on the wall. What do you do?
I think the biggest problem we have is that the way Kenyan government handles public utilities and public property. Because first of all, if you, the register they put out there, you just realize a day that they've decided this is what we are going to sell. And they do not give us clear reasons why they want to sell the companies and to who has bidded for the companies. Because naturally, in any government or any country where people are love the rule of law, are living according to the law and the things which are required, they sit down and show you how these companies have been run down. For example, KICC cannot be run down. If you want to sell KICC, then you need that land. It is at the center of the city. the biggest land around it. It hosts all the events every day, any day. And these things, there are also levels of privatizations. This is what you call, you can lease for 10 years, but someone puts in money. This thing which we are doing, the government is not telling us the model of privatization, which is a must in law. You must tell us that this KICC, we are thinking that we will lease it to Benji for 10 years, but Benji will give us this money. After 10 years, we'll revert. Or someone has seen the title of that KICC, which we do not know, and thinks, if I get this KICC and I build another hall next to it, how much money will I make? So this is also what we call insider trading in government. So naturally, I think that all these companies or these organizations which have been put there is individuals who have specific interests in them. Yes. There's someone who has interest in KICC, we know. There's someone who has interest in new KCC. And that's why...
In Kenya Pipeline?
In Kenya Pipeline, because it has a whole network. There are very many other companies which are doing so bad. For example, Kenatco, Kenya National Trading Corporation. Why is it there?
Even Kenya Airways.
Kenya
Why are they not there?
It should be Kenya Power, for example.
They're not there because they are characters who know that this is their money is there. Like Kenya, of course, Kenya Pipeline, that one we know someone who has interest. But the Kenya Power, who is the highest shareholders in the people in government today?
True. No, but let me think of my conspiracy theory again. Maybe the government has seen how frustrated we are as a country. Like everyone is frustrated. Then they're like, if we leave this place, we have to live strong. So we have to live at least with things that...
You mean with elections?
Yeah, because...
Maybe they'll just be rigged again.
Sometimes you can...
No, I'm saying, you see the way they are seeing...
If the support on the other side is overwhelming, then it can be difficult to
It can be impossible. So
really?
Impossible,
yeah, it can be
if you
impossible.
go down to 10%.
I think they've seen.
And the other side has
and that's why they
90%.
feel like, let's have everything else. Now, let's have everything that
But
is
we can
bringing
take
enough
back.
money.
You know what I love?
We can take back our
We can take
country.
back. Please
take back these companies.
don't take Kenya literature.
What I love about this country is that the people like my friend Benji Ndolo here, who was very vocal, has come to their senses and telling the government the truth.
You were. You mean you actually thought this thing can work?
I thought William, as a young guy, was just hit
He
the
actually
ground
was
running
wearing
in 6
uniform.
months. Yeah, I mean,
You was wearing UDA uniform.
and I knew he'd win. So what was I
Did
to
you
do?
actually win?
He's the president.
It doesn't matter how he won, but now,
You know
but now we are frustrated. Let's agree we are all
Benji,
frustrated.
what I like about you is you say the truth, and you've apologized for putting us where you put us now. You are with us in the same hole. Do you know the saddest thing, ladies and gentlemen, that even the mamambogas will have a tablet to pay tax now?
Huh?
Yeah?
What did you say?
Yeah.
Say that again.
The tax regime, even the
Everybody is
mamambogas,
getting a tablet.
they'll be given, the KRA guys will be going like, have you seen in the village markets?
I know,
You
the Likuru.
Yes, in the village where if it's a market day, there's someone who comes and says, let a shilingi shirini for you to display your wares. That's how KRA will be now. We'll collect even in the villages.
I've said many times, that's not... Predatory mentality
But they're
is
doing
not the way
that.
to run a country.
They're doing that because they're collecting less tax. Why are they not asking themselves, why are we collecting less?
Exactly.
Are we pressing these people too hard that there is no tax to even give?
Laugh a car.
You know, it reminds me actually the other day, and I think I've said it on the show, I was with my daughter in the car, and he was talking about one of the British kings, I think King Richard or something. He collected so much tax.
Yes.
And then forgetting that even the watchmen who actually guard him have to pay tax. That when there was the peasant revolution, even the watchmen just opened the gates. Ingieni, because even they were tired.
Of course.
Yeah? And I'm just like, can we talk about something
The
else?
problem is we are the ones who are tired.
Yes.
The ones in power are not tired. The 1% are not tired. So now we are... They're buying KICC.
Yes.
Take us to a break, Maria.
Yes, and I'm the one taking us to a break. So, I mean, this topic is so tiring.
Yes.
Like, if you're like many of us, we are tired. It's tiring. This tax thing is tiring. So let's take a break. We'll see you when we come back. Don't touch that dial.
Let's be real.
And let's be real.
Superstay Vinyl Ink from Maybelline, New York. Shake up your long wear with no budge vinyl color. Color lock formula. Up to 16-hour wear. New Superstay Vinyl Ink, Maybelline, New York.
Welcome back. It has been depressing to discuss the housing levy and the way Kenyans are struggling. 18 million has been deducted from your salaries, 18 billion. We do not know whether it will be refunded. And of course, the privatization of Kenyan companies, the iconic KICC, which we think should not be privatized. And the government didn't actually tell us the mode of privatization. Is it a lease for 10, 20, 50 years? Is it someone buying it and who is buying it? Is it insider trading? But anyway, let's get back to what is up now.
Now you're going on a lighter story. Let's talk about the grading of the KCPE results. Some members of parliament and some parents are really complaining about the irregularities of marking it. I don't understand what was the hurry, because there are kids who even got marks of subjects that they did not even do. Like it was so, they were not sure about what they were doing, let's put it that way, or they were overachievers.
What shocked me about KICC is that KCPE is that the fact that we know that KCPE, there are only two papers which are human marked, which is Insha and composition.
Am I the only one who is shocked?
The rest of
You
those
saw me.
papers,
Yeah.
the rest of those papers are fed in a machine
Robotic.
Robotic.
and is automated, and it actually gives us the results.
How?
Because it is mass marking, those
Multiple
scripts
choice.
is multiple choice.
A
You
million
just feed
students.
in a machine.
A million students.
I do not understand how negligent a country and an examination council could be for the first time that this machine could get it wrong. Is it by design? Is it by default? Is it some people are trying to fix some areas to be on top? Because a machine, unless you go and interfere with the permutations, is the only way you'll get these things. But for sure, KCPE is not marked by
So
teachers.
I'm not going to say much on this topic, but I'll say two things. Number one, if you notice, CEO, a lot of my discussions, anywhere across all platforms, is always around the theme of good governance from the perspective of we have to do things properly. So if you've traveled, you see how London is, how the city is run, how things are done, how a bus stop is supposed to look, how a road is designed and
Yes.
marked. So we don't do things properly. And that begins from how we do the bitumen for the road, how we do the tender process, the way it is rigged and infiltrated by cronies of the minister, etc., etc., how you do kickbacks, how you mark exams, how you do water reservoirs, how you do roads grading in the village. So there's a way that if you're an African country, everything is always second rate and third rate. And there's also a way that people have accepted that. That, yeah, you know, that's why we say Maisha London, because Nairobi is not London. You can't talk on the phone on the streets.
It's
There's
be
something
robbed.
called Ngeta. If you go to Eastlands, the same Ngeta is called Nyongolo.
Yeah.
You know, there's, you know, petty crime and just doing things in the slums. You have, because we don't have drainage, we don't have ablution, etc. So you have what we call it flying toilets. And everybody laughs. So if you don't have a toilet, you crap in a paper bag and throw it. And the way to deal with it is just say, oh, we have flying toilets. And then you pass that topic, like she was talking about the 17 billion, we know the money was stolen. So you just say, yeah, the money was stolen, then you pass quickly to go. It's a way of internalizing and handling trauma. But we had classes where in a certain school, everybody scored 418. Okay,
Everyone.
So this is corruption at the next level. The results were not expected, then they were rushed and removed and released. Prior to that, there was a lot of activity around WhatsApp groups and Telegram channel groups through which leakage was happening as the exam was going on. There was a lot of activity. DCI were active in different counties, apprehended different, groups of teachers and what have you. All these people looking for only one thing, money. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when you do stuff like that, it can actually affect the entire rest of a child's life. Because there are in that same context, by the way, CEO, there's something they do called rationalization of marks. So a kid does very well. I've seen that. I've seen that with a daughter of a friend of mine that did very well, but because of the school she's in Nairobi, then they remove some of the marks to give somebody in Garissa a chance or in Marsabit. Therefore, she had wanted to go to Alliance, and now the kid who had just done consistently well from nursery to this point was cut off from Alliance, and it was a big crisis. That's why it came to my desk. So I just wanted to say that in our corruption and our negligence and carelessness, you can destroy the life of an innocent, bright, charming, confident, innocent 13-year-old. And that's what happens when you are a banana republic. That's what happens when your leaders in parliament are focused on chasing tenders. There's no quorum. There's no energy. There's no ideas. There's no debate. People are just, look at the behavior of Salasia. He threatened a judge to her face in broad daylight. And up to now, I don't think he's been apprehended. And it's wrong.
I think what you're saying...
It's wrong. He should not even be out on bail even now. It drills so deeply the culture of impunity. It's a vicious cycle. Impunity, looting, corruption. And then the dysfunction. You see, if you steal roads money or bridges money, were you here last week talking about a lady who swam to go and give birth?
Yes.
So someone ate the bridge money. My point exactly.
So, what you didn't know that KCP is marked?
I did not know, but I'm frustrated by people who did not change the batteries because that is the only excuse you can give me. No, the problem is, this is the last KCPE. These kids are going to be hurt. Like, they're already so hurt if they're not. These are the kids that will really need therapy because there is no way you'll tell me that one time, KCPE, the last one, they made a mess unless there's something that we are not told. Mostly, it could be the corruption thing or it could be that. But how do you just fight for one region to get better results when you know very well all these
Didn't you see a school in Garissa? Is it Garissa which had a school in Garissa with 418?
Imagine.
All students.
418.
Others did on science when they've never even known what on science is.
Yeah, this has been...
I
remember these discussions around from the time Duale was Duji's MP. And there were a lot of discussions on exam leakages. There's like a dirty agenda in this country.
Yes.
You see,
Some communities to rise and dominate. And I think because this is a media house and we must be responsible, we must be alive to this and we must guard against it. We must speak about it and guard against it. There's an evil agenda in this country and those who are in charge and those who are supposed to be paying attention are not. There's sale of citizenships, for instance.
Yeah.
Am I lying? There's sale of citizenships.
Yes.
Yeah, they sell a lot of
it began under Otieno Kajwang when Raila was Prime Minister. And it's grown to be a big scandal. And basically that's treason. I dare say on this show that's, if you can, as an officer, sell or take a bribe at the border for someone coming across
to be Kenyan,
to then come and even detonate a bomb, and you can sell the border of your country, the border. Are you guys the territorial integrity of Kenya? You can just sell for 5,000 shillings for someone to come across who doesn't understand the language, who can't assimilate into the culture.
But that's why,
treason.
that's why, you know, sometimes you can steal a national monument or something like that, and not just think so that you'll make money and you will just live the life, you can oppress the people, and then you forget that it's the same supermarkets you go to find bananas injected with chemicals.
Exactly.
Because somebody's just trying to survive. And then the next thing you find, you're having a heart attack near Parliament. Where did Otieno Kajiang die?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're right.
you mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So because there's full traffic jams, you cannot get to the hospital
Exactly.
because you forgot what you did here. People forget how interconnected we really, really are. But
spiritual
just
realm,
back to
yeah.
the topic that we were talking about before I move to the next, about the exams. I think it really, the story you're saying about this child whose marks had to be taken away to make up for another child.
Yeah.
It's a very, very sad story.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that we are changing the education system because it just boils down to this one exam, the one day.
Yeah.
It's
That
it's
can
a week.
determine your life.
Yeah.
It's a week that is determining your life.
Yeah.
And if anything we have learned is that na iende. Wanasema kaende na kaende.
Kaende na
Kaende. That
Now we are
exam.
fossils who did KCP, we are done.
Because there is no way, just that 1 week can determine the rest of your life. At least this child who has been performing consistently very well, let them, you know.
Why penalize them?
Yes, why penalize them? So can we move to the next topic or
Yes.
you still have something to
No,
say?
no, it's okay.
So moving to the next topic, December is here, we're celebrating. So now we want to talk about fundraising. I know times are hard, there's WhatsApp, and then you just find yourself put in WhatsApp groups of, we are fundraising for a birthday, we are fundraising for funerals, we are fundraising for hospital, we are fundraising, we are even fundraising to buy, I don't know what, a lawn for the neighbor. You know, the green grass for the neighbor. So it begs the question, what should we actually fundraise for?
Okay, let me speak from okay, I'm not angry, but let me just speak. So this is the point. Some things, even when you tell people to fundraise for you, think twice. Because they are not necessary. We can fundraise for funerals. People don't choose to die. We can fundraise for weddings because right now, times are hard, but we encourage them do a smaller wedding, but we can help you a little bit. But there's no way you'll tell me that I'm fundraising for your baby shower. Just have a baby, I'll give you a gift from the bottom of my heart and it will be nice. These same people who add you to WhatsApp group are the same people who will not support your business most of the time. They don't buy, you are selling clothes, they're not wearing your clothes. You're selling wine, maybe that's not what they take.
Yeah.
But they are going to add you in a group. Like you've never read my book, but you're adding me in a group to give you money, yet I depend on you buying this book for me to be able to give you a little bit for even your wedding. Before you add someone to your group first, can that friendship be mutual? Like, I am your friend first and I support what you do so that you can be my friend and support what I do. Because in the first place, I'm glad nowadays WhatsApp has the option of knowing who is adding you so that you can decide, am I getting into the group or not?
So she makes a good point. I won't have very many views on this because my views might also be just slightly controversial. I like to interconnect dots. Part of the reason we have broken governance and broken politics in this country, CEO, is why?
Harambe.
Unlike developed countries, we don't fundraise clean money. So leaders come up through special interests and dirty money. Because if Mary is running for women rep today, you cannot really count on all her friends.
Oh,
and
you
relatives.
call her Mary or Maria?
Maria.
No, Mary is
The
mother
same.
of God.
Mother.
Actually, Mary is my mom's name.
Good. And she was calling earlier Maria while we were on set. So, her own friends will be hesitant to support until maybe they think that, here, we might miss on something. She's actually going to be victorious. So we need to change our value system and emulate Jews and Asians. Indians support each other 100%.
Yeah.
They support each other 100% from scratch. Now, you're right, etiquette. One shouldn't really be fundraising for very personal things. But I also...
It's actually hygiene.
It's just hygienic, okay?
It's just hygiene
etiquette,
issues.
it's just... But I also, personally, I believe in giving. So if you ask me for help, if I'm able, I will give you. I just want that to be clear. In fact, I want to use the example of a cousin of mine who, some years back, he was just starting out, and so he did what they call a pre-wedding. So I was just so happy for him. And he gave us all, like per family, he gave us slots. Like, CEO nyinyi mko waine. So if each of you gives me 2,500, I can raise 10,000 shillings. So what I did, I paid 2 shares of the same, mine and another one. And you know how funny life is? 15 years later, he's a top don, he's a top corporate don. And guess what? He never forgot my support. And today, he supports me big time. Kwanza on useless and random things. I can just tell him I need fuel, I'll have.
Me, I have a different story.
And so, so, again, hygiene and decency.
Me too.
If you're able to give, and if the giving does not adversely impact the relationship, by all means, the hand that giveth is the hand that receiveth. The last thing maybe I could say on this is, the other problem many times with family is entitlement.
Black tax.
Black tax. CEO is a big guy in Nairobi for Standard Group. He's a big guy. I'm getting married in Busia or in Yalenda. How come CEO cannot send me 20,000? They start being bitter with you. Hata wanakuendea kwa waganga. That's the thing I have a problem with, is that kind of entitlement. But if someone has the courage to come and say, Dr. C, this is my issue, I need help, and you can give that help, by all means. We just need to be kinder to one another and support more, a support system. It is very sad, especially in these days of depression and suicides, just to see that someone just thought of killing themselves. They couldn't reach her, they couldn't reach me, they couldn't reach you. And then you find out, I have a neighbor of mine last year, she killed herself on, and I said, really? She couldn't just come and say?
What was the problem? Rent or
she
something?
She had done this, no, it was, you know, this table banking in the villages where they collect money from the
different
ladies
people.
And do programs, etc. So the mamas were not paying, and the total was like something like 600-700. It was in the news, 700,000. So for me, I would have really been happy to try and do a harambe for her. And in fact, we're in the middle of campaigns. I could have actually was so heartbroken. She hurt so many people. If you kill yourself, Maria, it can. You don't know what you do to people. Your children. She even had grandchildren. Just the shock. Even her spouse. You know, just she took the decision very independently and very stubbornly. Even went and bought a new dress and new shoes and poison and all of this on a Sunday to go back to her maker. It's not the solution.
But you know,
it's not the solution.
You know, there's a difference. There's a problem that needs to be solved. Like, you're fundraising for something that there's no option. You have to fundraise. But there's someone telling you to fundraise for me to do a birthday party. Surely.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's not necessary.
True, but that's what I'm saying.
You can
that's
just
what I'm saying.
So
Let's have the channels open
so
that even before someone
I want to
of
say
drinking
something.
poison, they can come and say, Dr. C, this is my problem.
I want to kill myself because of my
Yeah,
birthday.
and then don't shame them.
Okay, because of the
It's
back.
important to say. And you know, so many people watch this. This show is number 1, by the way. That's why we keep coming back.
Yeah.
So let's use this show in a meaningful way, because there are people watching, and you know, Kenyans also can be callous. I used to see on Facebook, someone says, then they say, no, Jew, it has stopped nowadays. They say, no, kill yourself now. And there's someone they told, and he actually did. And it's just wrong. So we must never lose our humanity under any circumstance, because your life is not worth any money in my pocket. It's not worth 400
So Benji, you've said it, eh?
Or 400,000 shillings.
Let's hear Dr. C's.
So my point is that this country, when we talk about real wealth, perhaps in terms of wealth creation, we are just, I consider myself in my family as first generation, somebody who has created real wealth, okay? In most families, there are people who could be maybe on second generation, third generation max, because we've been independent for 60 years.
60 years, yes.
And so my father is like in his 80s.
Yeah.
And so there could be third, second. So there are many Kenyans who are really still don't have that real wealth.
Yeah.
And one of the ways we're going to build the country is through the Harambee spirit, helping one another.
Absolutely.
But I think it's important for Kenyans to understand that we should not abuse it. And then we have to revise some of the traditions. If we are fundraising to help somebody do a business, another form of fundraising is just going to buy my product on the shelf. You know, it's true. Buying Kenya is a form of fundraising, helping like one another. Okay? But there are some things I just plainly want to say I will not personally fundraise to. I will fundraise maybe to a hospital fund if we are going to save one of us. But one of the things I may not fundraise on is funerals. Yes. Yes, I don't think so. I'll tell you why. Because I feel so that we need to revise the way we are burying. For example, we just need to cremate. If you can't afford a proper burial, just cremate and go and plant a tree on top of it. You'll do something for the environment. Yeah. So why would you fundraise 5 million, 10 million? Like there was someone who was, I think, in the alcohol industry who passed away, and people are giving like 1 million, I don't know what. I'm like, start a foundation. Let people not just blow up this money. And the money was just blown up. You should have gone to the funeral. It was like a lavish, the most lavish wedding. Okay? So I'm
I get her
saying,
point.
I feel
Yeah.
like the problem is when people give the budgets, they overdo sometimes.
yeah, they overdo. But I'm just saying,
Everyone has to have a
when
new
someone
dress.
is dead, somebody is dead. We need to change the way we are, and it's going to change the way we are dealing with those kind of things. Things like, for example, maybe a young couple is starting. Yes, I may fundraise, but I'll tell them, maybe go and buy a plot somewhere and give all of us some money. We help you start. So I will not fundraise for people to just go and blow up money on alcohol and food and whatever. That's complete bollocks. I will not do it. But if you tell me we've started a housing fund, yeah, so we were hoping we'll just go to the AGs. But if you can help us buy like 10 stones because we are building our house,
But see, most
imagine a
Africans
will.
don't like helping you develop because they also fear
Actually,
you're
that's
building
a
a
But
house.
people have not
now,
started.
You might have a better house than me. See, you
The
allow
problem
me,
with Africans is that if we are giving you something that will help you grow, that's a problem.
Why are you
Allow
guys
me-
saying problem with African?
Allow me
Finish
to
another sister.
underscore her point
Yeah.
from a slightly different angle in just one sentence. One of the saddest things, and I'm not sure Dr. C has seen this, but let me underscore this. One of the saddest things about funeral fundraising is when someone has been ailing or they have been depressed, they have lacked, ailing is expensive, even in hospital. They have hospital bills, they have lacked visitors, they have lacked compassion, they have lacked support. Someone has been depressed, they have lacked a hand of help. And then, and I'm very active in the community, so I speak here with a lot of authority. You go to do a funeral and the neighbors are shocked. People are coming driving Range Rovers and they're like, haya, huyu mtu alikuwa na watu.
Yes.
Brothers, the brother is the head of which he's a doctor in some institution. The former wife is a pilot, the who and who. And suddenly, the funeral budget is 5 million shillings and the funeral committee reports that they've raised 5.6 million shillings. Hiya.
And this person
You've
was
raised
alive.
5.6 million shillings. When this person was alive, we couldn't raise 2,000 shillings
For
to
hospital.
buy him a chicken, to make chicken soup and food. The reason I'm saying this, Dr. C, is because we're such a traumatized and troubled society. Watu wanakuja kukutolea pesa ya kukuzika, but they couldn't feed you when you were alive. They couldn't buy you 10 stones for
Now-
2,000
They are behaving as if coffins are more cheaper than food.
Yes. And so this we must call out on. This is let's be real
Yes.
or let's be real.
So now, me, I have a slightly, and actually, I support 100% funeral donations from where I sit. And I support culturally where I come from, and because
Those
From where?
cultures must change.
No. Everyone has an opinion in this show. You people think differently, and I think totally differently about funerals. And I have been, my mother has passed on, and I've seen,
God rest her soul.
I have seen how friends can help you send your mother in the way it's needed. People who benefit is not actually the family. The funerals have a longer, if you've ever buried someone close to you, you'd see the pressure for money.
True.
And the pressure for money is real.
True. Always.
It's real. You
Always.
have hospital bills
Correct.
to offset.
Yeah.
My mother was in ICU.
Correct.
I needed money
Yeah.
to clear the ICU hospital bill.
Yeah.
I needed money to transport the body.
Yeah.
I needed money to bury. The only money which comes for food, apparently, is the slightest amount. Funnily enough, if you put the hospital bills, I like talking about something when I have divided that money where it is going. The people who benefit from this funeral is not the dead person. It is basically the family of bereaved. But let me take you back to traditionally what used to happen. In the culture was that apart from the thugs who have come into the space, people who came from different backgrounds, if your person died, you never cooked. It's the neighbors who used to bring food.
Correct. Support.
And then
support.
I'll give you, in Luo culture, if my mother-in-law dies, I'm the one to take the animal. It is not the family. There's a structure. The families have a structure. The communities have a structure. When my mother passed on, the sons-in-law brought the animals to be slaughtered. The person who married my sister.
Correct.
It is sort of a wedding. When you are going for a wedding, the animals you give when your mother is alive, your mother-in-law is alive, and the animals you take in case of death to feed the people.
Correct.
So the culture is very demarcated. It is so clear from where I sit that these people do not actually spend their money. It is so clear that there is a way with these things are dealt with. The brother-in-law brings this, the father-in-law brings this, the unga, and for food, the son who brings chicken. It is there. So food is consolidated. What your friends raise funds for is the coffin and the hospital bills. So when people are telling you to donate more, you must also ask yourself, what am I playing here? But it is not as blanket as you put it. It has never been blanket. The cultures have demarcated them. So why do I contribute in funerals? I contribute in funerals because I've been in that position before. And I have suffered and I have known that your friends can come when you need to remove someone's body from hospital and you have 200,000 and the bill in ICU 2 days is 10 million. And you don't have land to sell. So you can only cremate when you've sorted that bill.
Yeah.
And there are people who do not take care of their folks. We agree 100%. And that's what I said, hygiene and bad culture, where you do not take care of someone who is alive. But there are people who take care of their own. Only that, inafika wakati inakuwa ngumu. So I think use your discretion when someone wants to con you for funeral, or someone is going to use it in the right way to send their person off nicely. But many people, I have always said, if it is genuine, I will stand with you. If it is well laid out, ask for so where is the money coming from? Where is the budget? Bring it down. The animals we know. If it's a Luo culture, you know, the son-in-law will bring a bull for slaughter. You know, the father-in-law will bring 2 bags of maize for ugali. You know these other things will be collected. That's the main thing. So what do they need?
But also
But
as much
can you
as possible.
fundraise to
Yeah.
for other things?
Yes, I
leave
can
funerals.
fundraise.
But also, as I was saying, as much as possible.
Yeah.
If someone especially is deserving, because there are good people and bad people.
Yeah, if it's,
Give them their flowers when they're alive.
yes,
Yes.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, it's true.
Give them the flowers in their
alive.
lives. And the only way to give me flowers right now, just go buy my book.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and the Samantha wines, you can actually package it as a really good gift
Yes, for Christmas.
for Christmas. You
So
know,
I'll take a red wine, a cheap one. I hope it don't give me a headache.
actually, that's the one thing that is good about my wine,
Yeah.
because it has a real grape, Tempranillo.
Okay.
It's a Spanish
So I'll
wine.
buy one.
And you will not get headache. I would love to get a report from you.
Yes, I'll give you some feedback.
Yeah.
Yes,
By the way, this is so random, but it wasn't on the
Sure.
on
Exactly.
the show
But this
for
is
us to
about support,
discuss.
yeah,
But this Christmas, I'm seeing all this lighting, everything. I'm like, everybody, stop! I'm still in May. Like, stop! Like, I'm in May. What is it like? What did it
Actually, they
Christmas?
started too early. I feel like from
Yeah, yeah.
November
It's getting too
10th,
commercial, yeah.
they were too much. It was already late.
But is it true that the days are really, really shorter? Or am I living through one of the Bible
You're
verses?
busy. You're busy.
You're too busy.
You're busy.
You're too busy. The economy
Too much
has
going
become
on.
too hard.
Yeah.
You are struggling. You're hustling too hard.
There's so much happening
So
that
things
you
are going
don't
too
realize
fast.
the days
Yeah.
are going.
Yeah.
Because every day you have like 10 things you have to accomplish.
Exactly, yeah.
So when you're in a
So
I
day
wish
Like-
like
they were
November
actually
is over.
10, because me, I think mine are 100.
There you go. Point exactly.
Yeah.
So who's taking us home?
well, of course, your last words before I take you home.
Let us put the country first. I hate to sound like a pastor or as a priest or even naive, but we must not give up on this country. Kudos to the judiciary for standing up. We continue to advocate for the president and his team, David D and all of these guys. We're in the middle of economic ruin. We're coming into Christmas now. Thank God for the rains. Stop all this reckless talk. Let us put the country first. Let us really work to reducing fuel prices. Fuel prices are the single determinant, the single and only determinant, which once sorted out, it translates into lower power bills, which is lower manufacturing costs, which is jobs. Jobs is more tax remitted to KRA. Tax remitted to KRA is more allocation of funds into projects, more roads, maintenance of roads, building of bridges, etc., funding of emergency services. I could give a lecture on this. So let's just do the right thing. And this culture of looting must stop. And we must always keep it real, especially on this right here show. Let's Be Real on KTN, and thanks for watching.
Maria?
I'll keep it simple. I know we are headed to the season whereby we eat a lot and drink a lot. Please stay healthy and take care of yourself. You don't need to stay anywhere unsafe, and you don't need to have mental issues after this. Sort school fees if you are a parent first before you do those holidays, please. And buy your kids books. Just try and plan ahead, because the economic times are really hard as it is. So planning ahead will help you so that next year you won't be depressed because you made poor choices on the holidays.
Well, this is the month of love, not Valentine, but a lot of weddings are happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of weddings. So I just want to, first of all, congratulate the people who are getting married. And so many people are also celebrating anniversaries like myself. So I'm celebrating 21 years married, 6 years together. So 27 years of love and friendship.
Cheers to that. Cheers
So
to that.
here's to love, dedication, hard work, friendship, and cheers to Kenyans.
Yes.
Surely.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers,
everybody.
cheers.
Cheers.
I would,
Cheers.
apart from that, what I would say is very simple, that the government must come clean and tell us what is a carbon credit deal. Tanzanians know the acreage they have to put under the planting trees and all that,
Exactly.
because they have sold. In Kenya, we do
What
not
are we not
know.
being told?
What are we not being told?
Yeah.
The government has been secretive
Yeah.
about this carbon credit deal. We know for sure that some companies, some countries have bought our carbon credit deal, and we know that the government is playing games. We should stop this monkey business where we know for sure that we are saying plant trees, we are giving people a holiday, yet you know this money, you are not telling us how it's being channeled. And someone has bought it from either Dubai or somewhere, And I find it very wrong because Tanzanians have said they'll put around 20,000 acres under cultivation of trees and all that. And it is known. Zambia people know, Zimbabwe people know, but Kenya, it is a top secret. It is top secret, and the government does not want us to know the fact that they have gone behind our backs and signed a deal with someone to buy the carbon credits. So money will be coming, and we will not actually capture it in our consolidated fund, which is totally unacceptable, it is wrong, and it's uncalled for.
And which is why we openly need to know what exactly is our debt book, what is the loan balance, so that we can also have a national conversation on how to fix the debt crisis, if indeed there's one.
Of course, that's, let's be real, as usual, deep issues.
In a conversational manner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's meet next Sunday.